Хорошо. Это все с моей стороны. Давайте поприветствуем нашего следующего спикера, Tzahi, который будет говорить нам про блокчейн.
Good morning, guys. You hear me well? More or less. Okay, so first of all, thanks for the organizers, Anton, Elena, and Alicia, which is not here. And thanks for all the technical guys there. Thank you. And for sure, thank you guys for coming here, especially on Sunday. And I'll do my best to make it worthwhile for you to waste your Sunday or on my speech. So let's start. What I'm about to do today is talk a little bit about blockchain. I will not try to do it from a technical perspective. I want to give more general look at the field, from what we are observing. I'm based in Israel, which is basically a startup country and a blockchain startup country. However, we work with many other countries that are more corporate related, like US, Europe, Australia. So I'll go very briefly on what we're doing, just for you to understand where I'm coming from, and then I'll go into the details. And if I can ask you one thing, my main reason for this speech is really to answer your questions, because some of you are in the blockchain, some of you are not in the blockchain, so I really want to understand what is interesting for you the most. I thought this would be the most, but let's see if I am right. So let's continue. I'll go 2 minutes on what we're doing, and then we go with you guys. So, as you know, my name is Tzahi Kanza. I'm CEO of Titanium.Codes, and I'm also CEO of FutureBlock. FutureBlock, let's first start what we're doing in Titanium. Titanium, we're doing not only the R&D, but also the consulting. For blockchain, because it's a very new field, not only the entrepreneurs, not only the technology, but also everything related to the business involved with this is something that they don't know. For example, if you need to work with a bank in the usual IT, every bank would work with you basically. In crypto or blockchain, it will not be like this. So you need different solutions. We develop blockchain for sure, and also we do services for ICOs. These are different technologies on blockchain that we work with, for you just to a little bit understand the variety of the new technologies that are involved in this business. FutureBlock is our acceleration program. It's a very unique acceleration program. It's based from the point of view that the startups need a lot of help in order to grow, because usually a startup starts with 2-3 guys with a good technology. However, in blockchain it's different because they have no knowledge on whom to talk to. The investors are not the same investors, the financial institutions are not the same, that all the players are not the same, so they don't know even who would be the first client. So this is what we're doing, and this is what I want to talk about. So, like I said, I will start, and please think of questions, because I want to give, for you to know a little bit more. So we talked about what we're doing. I'll talk 1 minute about blockchain and Bitcoin. I'll talk a little bit about smart contract, and then I want to go to the difference between the startups and corporates in blockchain development. So let's go. Please, guys, if somebody has a question, the time is now, not later, because, I don't know, maybe it will be too late. So what is blockchain? Basically, the whole idea of blockchain is decentralized computing, right? Think of a simple, structure of a database that is equal to every player in the system, okay? And the main idea is very simple. Because it's divided between many players, everyone can see, so it's transparent, it's equal, it's fair, should be, and it's very, very, very inefficient. Because if you need to keep, information, it should be everywhere. So it's very inefficient. So if we look generally, if we leave the hype of blockchain, we need to understand that at the end, it's not suitable for a lot of things. So let's try to see what it is suitable for. So it's decentralized, you have cryptographic security, you have immutability, and you have transparency. That's the basic roles of the blockchain. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the first application made on blockchain, and the main idea with Bitcoin is to transfer money. If you take this as an example, you understand what blockchain in the beginning was built for. It was built to transfer very small amount of information, very small amount, transfer of money in a very good way. But now all the trend is going to do other things. And because it's a hype, it's a trend, it's not really suitable. And this is one of the issues that we see the position in the market for this. So another thing related to blockchain, after the first application of Bitcoin, it was just simple to transfer money. Ethereum came with the idea of smart contract. In very general, understanding of what is a smart contract, it's meant some kind of a computer software to do manipulation with this transfer. And any manipulation, you guys, that write code, understand you can do also here. So I'm going a little bit into the world that I live in. I live in the world that, where I meet corporate and startups, and they come and ask, look, I want to use blockchain, or I have a good idea for blockchain. What do you think? What we can do? You don't hear me?
Sometimes not.
Okay. Maybe like this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's start with the... You really don't hear? Okay, sorry. So I'll do like this, maybe it's better. You want me to go back from the beginning? No, I can do it, no problem. Maybe you put a video, so... Okay. No, but it was very boring, so it's better, that... now is the best part, so... Okay, guys, so what our startups are looking for in blockchain, or what happened in the startups? Startups are usually 2 or 3 guys, right, or girls, coming with a good technology idea. That's general, the way. Unless there are guys that come from the industry, for example, health, transportation, whatever, and they have a business idea. What they were doing until now, they did decentralized applications. Okay, it's applications that are running on the blockchain. And until a year, let's say in the last 2 years, the main idea to get an investment was ICO, initial coin offering, which raised money. Initial coin offering is divided into 3 phases. First is the private sale, which means you sell your tokens to people you know. Second is the pre-sale, which means you sell for people that you want to sell first, and then the crowd sale. What happened in the last year was very simple. The crowd left because they lost a lot of money. 2, 3, 4 months ago, pre-sale and private sales guys left because they lost also a huge amount of money. When I say huge amount of money, I'm talking about between 25% to 27%, 28% from their investment, meaning they left with 2 or 3%. So for a startup that is looking now to recruit money in this area, I would recommend not to do it. It's a very difficult way, even in countries like US, Europe, and Israel. For corporates, what's the idea for corporates? The idea for corporate to use a blockchain is to solve a problem that they might have with different players. If we think about a blockchain, the main idea of blockchain is to be decentralized, strength. But it's impossible. If there is a corporate that is managing the blockchain, it's just impossible to do it, because if someone controls the blockchain, then he's controlling the blockchain. So we see a lot of corporates thinking what to do and trying to implement. And basically, most of the corporates that did it until now are very, very big corporates that control all their market. For example, Walmart. Walmart is controlling a whole huge amount of the food industry in the US. So they are able to do something like that because all the players will listen to them. The biggest, from my opinion, the biggest value for blockchain until now for corporates is in union of corporates. For example, union of banks. 10 or 15 banks, they join together and do a joint application. In this way, basically, they are saving money, and I will explain a little bit later. For example, when banks doing bank clearance, when banks loan to each other, usually they pay huge amount of money to the central bank. In many countries, banks came together, replaced the central bank, and they saved money. So with all the hype of the blockchain, at the end, what it was doing is just saving money. It's important, but from technology perspective, it's not a remarkable change like we see in other spaces. So where are we and where are we going? For startups, I'm looking at you guys, from developer point of view. You have a great idea, you want to make it a startup, or you want to point your company into a direction which will be interesting for, the future. 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Startups are in a position that they cannot make money right now. They cannot recruit money. So ICO is impossible. A new feature that called STO has come, which means instead of making shares and give shares to your investors, you give them tokens. Now these tokens are regulated, which means they are more or less equal to equity that you sell. But the problem is very simple. Most of the countries are not accepting this yet. So even if you want to go this way, you need to wait between 6 to 12 months. So this option sounds good, but it's not really possible. Another issue that is related to STOs right now is to digital assets, to digital land, digital stocks, a lot of things. This is the main trend right now all over the world regarding blockchain. I will talk a little bit later about it, but the main difficulty in this is the regulation. Because if you want to digital an asset like your apartment, you need a government to recognize, that it's legal. So let's talk about corporates. In 2018, we see a huge shift from what we saw until now. Before, we saw the big and huge fintech related, all the banks, all the big CPA companies. They were only the big players in the industry, but now we see it going to a lot of mid-size and general usage. We see a lot of supply chain solutions, for example, food like Walmart. We see a lot of international trading companies that are doing trade. We see a lot of ad tech companies, a lot of health companies, especially health because of everything related to keeping the user data, which is safe on the blockchain and it's really not belong to the company, so it's easier to develop. And identity. Identity is very, very hot and important on the blockchain from the same idea that I talked before. Organizations have problems to keep user data in a safe way, and they have a lot of regulated, problems. So when you do it on the blockchain, you are, above this. So let's talk about the major player for corporates. The main idea for me to remind you this is if you plan or if you think to go in this direction, think about these guys. Think about how you can contact them, offer them something, work with them, show them, distribute with them, because that would be a great partner for you to go ahead. And they are very, very open to new suggestions, very open. And they are very open to listen, very open to see what's going on. I'm not sure about what they do in here in Moldova, not sure. But any other country, especially US, they are very, very open for this. So let's go one by one. First of all, IBM. IBM developed Hyperledger or supports Hyperledger, which is a private blockchain. They spend huge amount of money, huge, to support people like you, developers, to go on their platform. So any good idea that you think is for private, you just look for them, contact them. If you need help, contact me, I will connect you. This is not a problem. Microsoft. Microsoft is looking for one thing in blockchain. They want to promote Azure as the platform. So the same, if you want to develop something for corporate, and as I told you in the beginning of my lecture, I think that if you have a good idea, think of corporate, don't think of startups right now. So yes, you want to go on Azure, contact Microsoft. They will give you free environment, they will give you support, they will do many things in order for you to develop on Azure. Who are the other players? All the big four CPAs companies, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, KPMG, and PwC. They started in the beginning. Each one of these guys has around 100 developers, blockchain developers in their headquarters in New York, in US. Not bad. Okay, so why I'm talking about these guys? I'm talking about these guys from a very important thing. These companies are franchises. What does it mean? The headquarters are not the local. So, for example, EY US, they have 100 blockchain developers, but EY here are not the same company as EY US. Here they don't have anything, probably. So if you have a good idea, you can contact EY here, offer them and see what they can do with you. Okay, so it's a great opportunity also for you to, if you have idea, go with these guys. Another option are the big consulting companies like McKinsey, but I don't think they are the right guys now to be in touch with. Questions, guys? Answers? Was worth it to come on Sunday or not really? Okay, more or less, no problem. Let's see. Okay, so blockchain for companies. What is the idea about blockchain for companies? First of all, as you know, there are two types of blockchains. Public blockchain, it means everybody, you can just download the open source, install it on your computer or something stronger, and you'll be part of the blockchain. Private blockchain, on the opposite, someone writing the code, and he is in charge of it. So you do understand the difficulty and the misconduct in this behavior. So what I want to say here is this. Every blockchain application that developed until now for corporates, everyone would need to be replaced. It could be 6 months, 10 months, 1 year, but it must be replaced because it's not really decentralized. So there is a huge opportunity here to look at what people have done already, just take it one step ahead. Whenever a new blockchain, that can really make the private and public together. Okay, so I'm leaving this, aside, and I want to talk about the business value for corporates. Main idea when we work with corporates, they come and they say, or maybe I give you another example. We had a contact with a Chinese company, listed company. We wanted for them for investment. We told them, okay, you need to invest in this and that, and we gave them all the documents and everything. And they invested very easily. And we didn't understand why. Because the product was not so good, the valuation was not so good, they had no control, they had nothing. And we asked, really, our Chinese partner, why? And they said it's very easy. It's a traded company. They put $500,000 in this startup, they go to the press. Their stock market, the stock going raised $10 million. So it's worth it or not? So the hype is there, but I think now the market is becoming more and more mature, and when you're going to corporates, the most important thing is you to think of the value, because the company don't know themselves. It's a very new subject, blockchain. And blockchain is not only technology, and it's not like the invention of the smartphone, that everybody will use it. It's not like that. It's very specific, it's good for very specific things, and it involves not only technology, but a lot of business and economics. So usually, when you come to a corporate, they don't know exactly who should deal with it. It's not the innovation, it's not the, the accounting, they just don't know. So usually they throw you to someone who has no idea what's going on, except that he wants to meet with you. And then you need to come up with the idea. So think, bring a good idea, there are good chances that people will listen to you. Okay. Okay, so there are very, simple questions. First of all, when you come to a company, what is the use case? Okay, it really matches, the usage? Does it really make sense to put blockchain there? Leave the hype, it will not help at the end. The second question is the company market position. As I told you before, small companies has no ability to implement blockchain right now. They have no ability. So you need to look for companies that want to lead the market. They want to be the first, or someone from their industry already was the first. And we have a lot of things like that we see every day. Okay, in this division we can see, I'll give you 1 second to take a look. It's a chart. It's a chart that talks about where are the opportunities right now for blockchain. So in the upper, you see the public sector, okay? You see the financial sector, okay, the blue one, and you see, for sure, technology, media, and telecom. So if I need to gamble, where to go right now, these are the things that, I would recommend. Go for financial, but it's really a little bit too late. Health, identity, and the public sector are the best. Public sector, maybe it sounds to you unreasonable because, how can I go to Moldova government and introduce blockchain? But think of public as also NGOs. NGOs need extremely the usage of blockchain because one of the problems of NGOs is that, I'm talking about international NGOs, is that they support countries and places where they cannot control what they're giving. They give money, but they have no idea where it's going to. And from your experience, that if someone gives you, $1 billion, it's not all the time going to, all the people. So the main idea with blockchain is to make sure that it goes. And even if it doesn't go, you can make sure that, each one, they need to take $10 each one. So at least it's very difficult to take $500,000. Okay? You need each one to take $10. So these are sectors that, are very interesting, and I do believe that, people should use this. Okay. So what are the main ideas? The main ideas for companies right now, I think, is basically cost reduction. For companies, there are not a lot of benefits except of cost reduction. So when you look at the company, think of things they are wasting money on. It could be wasting money on technology, on third parties, on people that are managing this. This is the point of view that you should take care of. What is the limit right now for blockchain? The limits are feasibilities, right? Scale, standardization, and regulation. I will talk about it later, but you don't have questions, guys? This is better.
Well, I find a lot of new information, so it's lovely. But you don't speak much about already existing technology. From what I know, there is some open source projects that allow you to start your own blockchain project or your own cryptocurrency and so on. Is there any open source or ready solutions for the problems you talk about right now? For example, for when you go to an NGM, gives a lot of money and they want to know where it goes. Is there anything ready in terms of technology?
First of all, there are things that are ready, but not from really from application point of view. What there is ready is it's a very new field. So there are the infrastructure blockchain, like Ethereum, Cardano, EOS, whatever. They are very new, except maybe you could say Ethereum. They are building the infrastructure. So the main application you need to build, the only thing that I know of is Microsoft developed, in order to push Azure, they developed a system to do very quick proof of concepts. But except of this, there is nothing really that you can, just plug and play. And that's, I think, the main idea here. If you will look at the protocol, that are can run blockchain right now, that they are public, maybe there are, I don't know, 20, 30, you will find out that 10 of them has none, not even one, a commercial application, not one. The other 10 maybe have few. So there are very, very few projects going on. However, most of the projects that are, good are open source projects, because everything is open source and they just reuse and reuse. Answer the question, or more or less?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. More questions, please? Okay, so let's go. Let's see where are the problems, of scale, standardization, and regulation. So one of the biggest problem of blockchain is scale. Like I told you, it's very inefficient way to store data. It was built to transfer money, and now people want to do many things on the blockchain. So when we talk about scale, we are not there already, especially when we are talking about files and not only small transactions. Standardization. There are no standards at all right now for the industry. Everybody is doing almost whatever he wants. So when you have your own blockchain, okay, you're a corporate, you develop your own blockchain, and another company develops their own blockchain, it has nothing to do with yours. You can just not connect to them. So what's the point, right? If I have my own system but I cannot connect to another system, I need to, if I have 100 suppliers, they need to have 100 blockchains to connect to each one of the people they sell to. And it's impossible. So as a result, all the suppliers would say, look guys, it's not for me, look for something else. And the last thing is regulation. There is a huge debate about the regulation, especially from point of view of taxation and money laundering. Money on blockchain has no limits. It's going from address to address with no names. And countries don't like it. Because countries don't like it, they control the banks. And banks don't like it. If banks don't like it, you cannot use banks. If you cannot use banks, you have a huge problem to do business. So there are a lot of things that are going on in the market, but these are problems that make the business difficult. So when we are going to corporates, we look at two things. Do they have a real problem we need to solve? Does it really save them money? Does it really make them, something good? And second, when we have a good idea, does this company really has the ability to do it? Will they really put this amount of money to plan it, develop it, right? Implement it, support it, and push it. Otherwise, we are not there. So I'm going through this slide because it's a little bit less important. Cost reduction. If you look at this, we're looking at different industries, what it could do. So when you look at cost reduction, you need to look not only of how much money you save, but other things, how you increase revenue, how you reduce your cost, how you can raise capital, and how from social, importance, of what your company is doing, it's perceived in a good way that it can give you economic benefit. So if you see all these four ingredients, this is something that really, really is interesting. So like I said before, I believe that public sector, healthcare, automotive, if it's possible here, because I don't know the market here, for automotive, especially everything related to new car technology, are the best right now for the blockchain. Okay, so we talked about this, and just for you to understand a little bit, we are from R&D looking a lot of applications, and we look at the open market. We read the news, we see what the banks are saying. Most of the banks say, I don't want to use blockchain, Bitcoin is a problem. We see a lot of issues, but at the end, 90% of major Australian, European, and North American banks are experimenting blockchain. 90%. Where are the rest of the 10%? Maybe they don't have enough money to do it. But all of us need to understand that blockchain is not for everything, but for what it is, it's going to be there. No problem, no problem. Like this?
Yes.
Okay. So, again, what we need to understand and be sure that blockchain would be implemented. It's not a question. The question, who will do it? So, you are developers. In our world of blockchain, there's a huge need for people who think, people who know technology, and people that are able to think of a product, usage, and make it. You have a great opportunity, you know, to do something right now in this area. Because in 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, people would come to you and say, would you believe that your data was on a centralized blockchain? I don't believe it, it's crazy. You know why? You get to Google your details. Why? This is the future, and for sure it will not come from Google. It will come from the government, you know, from the governments. European Union, when it will be scalable, when it will be supported, the government will make all the companies do it, because our data now, you know what they are. It's everywhere. They know everything about us, about each one of us, everything. And they sell it. They sell our data. You know that, right? Okay, guys. So, feasibility. Feasibility is the way you can do it in different places, and I'm just leaving it out for now. Factors that affect feasibility. One of the things you should take into consideration is this. It's my recommendation. Don't try to sell a product right now. Try to sell a proof of concept. Why? Because the market is not ready yet. But if your proof of concept is there and is good and people like it, you are number one. You're the first one, you know? So do a proof of concept. There are no common, you know, standards, but you are there. You will be part of, you know, putting these standards. The market is extremely new, you know, extremely new. Technology must advance. Like I told you, there's not enough scale, not enough adoption. You know, how many people carry crypto? How many people here carry crypto? So it's not really, not 50 bitcoins, only 60. So it's not ready yet. Okay? So there's not enough adoption, and there are not enough tools. Now to use crypto is very uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. You need to know public address, private address, you need to do, you know, your keys, tools, whatever. It's not convenient. So we are not there yet. The third thing is that asset must be able to be digitized. What does it mean? We need to wait for the government to let us digitize assets. And it takes time. So there are solutions for that. What we're doing right now, if we want to digital an asset, for example, I want to digital your flat, what I'm doing is I'm doing a contract, I give it to a lawyer, and he represents it, right? It's not the government, but it's the lawyer. It's not good, but it's good enough to start with. So we see more and more and more solutions for that. Last thing is the competition paradox must be resolved. There is a huge problem now. Everybody is developing his own. Is developing his own. Developing his own. And if you look at the market, you know, internet is a free market. How many Googles we have? How many Facebook we have? So at the end, we need to understand that every network product would go into 2, 3, 4, you know, standards. So it would be also in blockchain. So companies are afraid to invest a lot in different places because they are 100% sure that in 1 or 2 years it will be gone. So when companies look at blockchain, they ask themselves two things. Where to compete? What do I need to do in order to be better? And second, how to compete? You know, do I really have the ability to compete and put blockchain in my, company? So, like I said, where to compete is the first phase. If you don't see value, just forget about it. Probably you're right. Probably you have no use for blockchain. And second is how to compete, and then it depends on your market domination and your ability to push standardization and regulation barriers. If you don't have enough power, probably you will be last, okay? Because you have the technology, but you cannot implement, and then somebody else develops after you, but implements before. So here is some sketch of, different position market of companies and the strategies. At the end, leaders should do it, and attackers that want to be first can use blockchain right now to be number one. But others, followers, and people who look at the others and doing, they better wait. Blockchain is not an easy technology to do right now because it's not only technology. It involves a lot of regulation, legal, financial issues. So this is my summary. For companies, when you look at a company or you have a product you think it's suitable for a company, think about their strategy. What are they willing to do? So this is why I gave you these guys at the beginning. Microsoft, IBM, the 4 CPAs. Go to them. They'll know if it's suitable, and they don't have the ability to do themselves. They need you, and you need them. So this is for companies, for entrepreneurs, for startups, for developers. What can they do? You can build a platform. A platform, it means that you build a platform and other people will use your code, and develop on this. I think it's not a good idea. The amount of, financial support that you need for that is too much right now. Another thing is to look for a company that is suitable, build a solution for them as the first solution, and then scale it to other companies. I think this is a great strategic way. Okay, so if you talk to a company, EY, Deloitte, whatever, tell them, let's do something for one company, keep the idea, keep the ideas, and move on, do it. Security tokens, you need to wait. 6 months, 12 months, we never know. And what is the future? I believe the future would be a new blockchain that will combine private and public blockchains. And this would give you huge amount of advantage. Because what would happen is that all the applications developed until now would need to go to something like that. So that's it, guys. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks for the talk. Don't you think that government regulation can be afraid for using blockchain in such fields as personal data, health? For example, GDPR requires you to delete users' personal data. You can't do this with blockchain. How can you use blockchain in these fields?
Again, sorry. How can you erase your data from blockchain?
No. For example, GDPR requires
Yes.
requires you to delete personal
Yes.
data, but if you store it in blockchain, how can you do it?
Yeah, but I think this is the main idea. Think of a bank, okay? You connect into a bank. You don't give him your data. You just... Sorry. Think of that you're going to your bank, okay? He asks you for your data. You don't give him your data. Your data is in a blockchain, not belong to the bank. Not belong to the bank. The bank can take from there something, but not everything. He can just read. He cannot, have permanent, existence. If you want to delete the data, it's yours. You don't need to contact the bank. At the end, I guess that what would be is that government will give you digital identity they support. You will own it, only you, and all the institution would need to connect to this, identity. And how they do it, for example, they want to check if you're older than 18, they will not get your birthday. They will not get your birth date. What they will get is, they ask, older than 18, yes or no? Okay, they'll never have your, and that's the main idea of the blockchain. Nobody will have access to your, data. If you want to delete, it's yours. It's not really delete. So one of the main questions right now is a funny question. The opposite. What happens, to your data when something happened to you? If it's yours and you only, the only one who can, take it. What happens if something happened to you? And there are a lot of solutions going now for this. One of the funny solutions that I like is something like this. If you didn't touch, your data for 3 months, it is sent to somebody else, So maybe it's a good solution. It's a funny solution, mainly because you need to pay all the time for this. It's like keeping it on somewhere, on the blockchain, but you need to pay. So if you're now 30, and something happens when you're 90, you need to pay 60 years, right? So it's not easy. More questions, guys?
Нет вопросов, да?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so without this diploma with this cool color, you cannot go from the stage. So